Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, hope you're all well, and welcome to another Saturday session. I'm on a dog walk with Dougie. Say hello Dougie, there he is. And for this week's Saturday session I wanted to talk a little bit about the legacy of the final experiment, you know, what sort of mark has it left on the flat earth community and the state of the flat earth community as a whole. Sort of where they're at the moment and how much damage it's done to them. So we'll start with the final experiment, and I walked along this very path probably almost a year ago now, and I gave my predictions as to what the final experiment would be and the effect it would have. And I was right about some things and wrong about others, of course. But what sort of mark has it left on the flat earth community, and how important has it been? Did it do everything it set out to do? And if I'm being honest about this, it's actually done more than I expected. We'll start, of course, with the effect it's had on flat earth members of the community. And quite a few have left off the back of this. Now, obviously the big one is Jeren, who's left. But there's other key figures as well. I don't know if you remember Patricia Steer from Flat Earth Another Hot Potato. She sort of left the community online but was sort of still a flat earther. She's now no longer a flat earther because of the experiment, the final experiment. And then of course there's Robbie Davidson. Now, Robbie Davidson was the man who organised all the flat earth conferences in America. He's no longer a flat earther because of the final experiment. And there's been others who've left as well, but make no mistake, there are more people now leaving the flat earth community than ever before. And the final experiment has a lot to answer for, considering that. But more than anything else, it was a physical experiment which the flat earthers were crying out for. They wanted to see evidence, they wanted to see something that they could see. And the final experiment did that. And whilst there are still lots of flat earthers, it's certainly thrown a lot of doubt for them regarding the most popular model, the AE map, where it is quite clear to a lot of them now that the 24-hour sun is not possible on that model. Yes, there's been people who've tried to come up with reasons why. The Scamtarctica documentary with the sun circling above and the dome projecting the sun all around. There's been nonsense excuses and reasons for it. But on the whole, it gave the flat earthers something tangible to look at. And that was something that had not really been done before. And I think it was a key point in terms of what made a lot of the flat earthers leave, because they resonate with things that their senses can explain or not explain. Seeing the 24-hour sun for Jeren, of course, was something he couldn't ignore, and it eventually led to him leaving the community. So on that front, the final experiment has been fantastic. It really has. In terms of its legacy for our community, it's been just as big. Everyone has covered it. Everyone's talked about it. And rightly so, because, as I said, it's had a huge impact on... dead pigeon. It's had a huge impact on both communities. So I think when people look back on this and the whole saga of Flat Earth versus Globe Earth on YouTube and the internet, I genuinely believe that the final experiment is, I'm going to say, a soft turning point. I don't want to say it's a full turning point, because there's always going to be flat earthers who believe that the earth is flat regardless. But I genuinely believe it's a soft turning point. So what do I mean by that? Well, I think it's slowly going to start turning the tide of people who believe flat earth for no reason. There's always going to be a contingent of flat earthers out there who believe flat earth because they think the evidence leads them to believe that. Yes, there's going to be flat earthers out there who believe it no matter what, but the people that spring to mind immediately are people like Ranty, one of the first people to leave the flat earth community because of evidence that he saw. So in terms of a turning point, I think the final experiment is a turning point because of that fact. Now, how long is it going to take for more people to leave? Who knows? Will it make more people leave? I don't know. But it's a great starting point. So really the first thing to say is well done, Will Duffy. Well done, Will Duffy, for doing what you said you would do and taking those flat earthers out there, and globe earthers of course. So many times people have talked about things like this and not followed through, so well done, Will. You have cemented yourself as a key player in this arena. And of course, well done to people like Jeren and Robbie Davidson for having the courage to stand up to the other flat earthers and accept that the final experiment yielded the results that they didn't think were possible. Now recently the whole thing sort of finished, the whole saga sort of finished with the final debate that Will Duffy set up. Now I haven't seen that yet. I have to sit down and watch that, and this is basically where Will has decided he's going to debate anyone else who has doubts on the final experiment. I'm sure it'll be an interesting watch. I'll link it in the description now so you guys can watch yourself if you haven't seen it yet. It'll be interesting to see any other arguments the flat earthers bring up. So the final experiment, fantastic, great. It did what it was meant to do for a lot of people, more than I expected it to do. And its legacy is going to be pretty historic actually. I am disappointed it wasn't picked up more by mainstream media. A few people covered it, a few publications covered it. They got a few things wrong and didn't cover it to the extent that I hoped it to be covered. But still, it did get some coverage, which is great. So that brings us on to where the flat earth community is now. How has it affected them and what position are they in? Well, I think the flat earth community is at one of its weakest points I've ever seen it. As we've already said, people have left the community more than ever before. They're arguing amongst themselves on tiny, minute points that mean nothing. The flat earth community is in a state. Make no mistake on that. It is in an absolute state. And this could be the beginning of the end. It's becoming increasingly harder to find flat earth content that's meaningful. They repeat the same arguments over and over again. Some of the arguments aren't even worth looking at. They really are in a mess. So what does that mean for the future of flat earth? Well, unless someone can step forward and lead them, I don't think they're ever going to recover from this. There's too many factions with too many leaders, all disagreeing on different things. What gravity is, what gravity isn't, what model is correct, what model isn't. They really are all over the place. So I think the final experiment, plus the sustained effort from debunkers like me and Creaky and Dave McKeegan, he's having an impact on them. It's tiresome for them. My whole point when I started this was to be a thorn in the side of flat earth, and hopefully I've achieved that. And I'm going to keep going, and I'm sure the other debunkers will too, because there will come a time where they'll just have enough. They'll have enough of it, and they won't want to argue anymore. And of course the other thing I've seen from this is the lack of new flat earthers joining the community. There was a time where every week there'd be a different flat earther joining YouTube and releasing content. Now it's so difficult to find new flat earthers, and that's a good thing. Flat Earth peaked around the release time of Behind the Curve, and they've been steadily declining since then. Final experiment happened and the decline got worse for them. Now is the decline going to carry on? Yeah, I think it will. Maybe not quite as fast, but it will. But I'm sure, like with everything, something will rise to take its place. The chemtrail conspiracy is growing. There'll always be moon landing deniers. Something will always come and fill the gap on the internet left by something else. The question is, how long will it be until Flat Earth leaves that gap? 5 years? 10 years? Will it ever disappear? I can't tell that for sure. The important thing is, though, they're in the mud. They are having a crisis, there's no doubt about that. And it honestly brings me a lot of joy. So let's see what the next few months and the next few years bring for Flat Earth. If you want a prediction out of me, it's not going to change too much. But one thing is for sure, they have got a lot of work to do. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. It is appreciated as always. I'll leave a link in the description, as I said, for the final debate. I'll also leave a link in the description for my final experiment review video. That's another Saturday session, all done and dusted. Please drop your comments below on what you think the status of Flat Earth currently is and how you found the Flat Earth experiment. Thanks so much as ever. I will see you tomorrow for another one. Bye bye.